it was in early 2016, and I was coming up to the end of the school year. I was a bit ahead on my schoolwork, so I had a couple of months ahead of some of my peers. And so I had some time on my hands and I had no idea what to do. No idea where I was going, had nothing, no vision for my future, no goals, absolutely just being a teenager, as you call it. And I then came across a video online, a TED Talk delivered by a chap called Kyle McDonald, who was a Canadian. And he did a challenge where he would, through a series of trades, swap his way from a red paperclip up into a house. It took him about a year. Having watched that video, I then said to myself, surely this can't be that hard. It can't be that difficult to grab a paperclip and ask people to swap it over and over again until you get what you want. And so I said to myself, you know what? I've got nothing to do. I have all of my friends are still doing their exams. And so let's give it a go. Let's see how far I can get with this. And so I went to school the next day. I had the paperclip in my hand. I went to all the teachers. I said to them, hey, I'm doing a challenge that I saw online. I'm trying to see how far I can get with it. I really, really want a car. I went to school, went to all of my friends. And I said to them, hey, look, I've got this paperclip. What have you got that's bigger and better than this that you're willing to swap for it? And for the first couple of weeks, it was mostly just miscellaneous bits of other bits of stationery, a pen, a pencil case, a sharpener, a calculator. And then I managed to get a fax machine. And at the time, I had no idea what a fax machine was, what it does, what it looks like. So I had this fax machine and I said, well, what am I going to do with this? How am I supposed to swap this for something bigger and better? These machines weren't being used anymore. So luckily, I had a very generous school who were very supportive of my challenge. And so most of the items that I managed to swap around came from school and generous school teachers. And so I went from a fax machine to a laminating machine to a color printer. It was, funnily enough, all the best ideas, I think, come from absolute boredom. If you have absolutely nothing to do and you need some inspiration, sometimes it takes sitting down all day doing nothing to inspire you to do something great. I was reading a few books at the time, and one of the books I was reading was the 48 Laws of Power, and one of the laws says, in victory, know where to stop. In success, never go too far. And so I had that quote in the back of my mind, and I said to myself, do you know what? I shouldn't get too greedy here. I know that I'm probably going to end up reaching my goal at some point. And so once I get there, that's it. Let's stop it there and then think of a new challenge afterwards. And so it was really up until about 2 months into the challenge where I realized that, you know what, this is becoming quite serious now, and I can smell the car coming from the distance. So the final trades was an electric scooter and a mountain bike. And so, I always had the strategy of saying, for every trade, it must be bigger and better than the last one, because I'd just end up going in circles. I'd never make it out of the stationery department. And so I had to just think further ahead. And so when I got the mountain bike, I used it to fundraise some money for a charity. Actually, it was for the Metropolitan Police Cadets, and I cycled all the way to Brighton, raised £500. Took me about 6 hours to cycle there. Got the train back. I was too tired to cycle back. So I did use some of the items for other charitable causes and whatnot. And so from the mountain bike, I was endorsed by a mate, and he gave me his electric scooter, and then from there on to the car. There was a few dealerships not too far from where I lived, and they were quite old and not very established. And so every day I'd walk into the dealerships, I'd see the sales managers and the salesmen there, and I'd sit down and have a chat with them. And they used to have these magazines, and on the magazines I would memorize all the specifications of the cars that I liked. So I memorized all the specifications. I knew which cars I definitely wanted it. Imagine, I came to the dealership, I had no money, and I was there trying to select a car to take away. I created a bit of a fuss, coming in and out every day. I was determined to not have it end there. And so the final day, I bumped into the owner of one of the dealerships, and he was quite generous and supportive. And he said, "You know what? We have a car. It hasn't been sold for ages. No one wants to buy it. It's an old banger, but do you know what? You can have it since you've been so tenacious with this challenge." And so, luckily, on the 14th of April 2016, I managed to sort the paperclip for a car. I was absolutely committed to it every day. I just thought to find a different way to solve it. It took about 12 trades from the paperclip all the way to the car. So it's not many in the grand scheme of things, but certainly enough to keep me busy for 4 months. And I gave the car to charity afterwards, after I was done with it, because I didn't want to sell it. I wanted to just give it to someone else who can benefit from it. But it was probably still alive. It was alive and kicking when I had it. You know, I live in a community where a young kid can take a paperclip and transform it into a car. I was going door to door with all of my neighbours, and I lived in a community where it was possible to do such a thing. And I think living in the UK and being part of such an enterprising nation, where such a thing is possible, I think is testament to how proud everyone should be to live in this country and call it our home. Because I think if you can put your mind to something like that, it can happen. And you have the support and infrastructure around you, from schools to local neighbours to local neighbourhood councils and communities, to make such a challenge blossom into something for real.